let's pretend 2-3 years from now, for whatever reason, Mahomes has a little bit of slippage, okay? Which everyone does except for Tom Brady. Jordan Love is a quarterback, because not everybody would be under this category, that you could see at some point in his career being the best quarterback in the entire league.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone who watched Jordan Love play last season, you can see the progress. You can see the traits. You see the intangibles. Like he displayed it all last year. Again, the difference is like, it's one thing to show it in spurts. Like, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league the second half of the season. Can you put it together consistently year after year after year? That's what the great ones do. Okay, and so that's the next level for Jordan Love, is consistently what he did in the second half of the season, doing it year after year after year. That's what I'm waiting on from him.
Damian, great stuff as always.
Yeah, so this was a little short soundbite that I really wanted to highlight because I find it very interesting. And I'm actually going to be doing another Jordan Love and Packers video with First Take because there's been more and more statements around Jordan Love as of late. It seems like a lot of people were burying Jordan Love, no matter where you're consuming media, whether it's First Take, First Things First, The Herd, like wherever, right? Everybody was like, he's not good, he's not good, he's not good. And now it seems like everybody's in a rush to be like, he's the best, he's the best, he's the best, because they want to be able to be like, I told you, I've been saying this since, last year, so-and-so, that he's the best, that he's the greatest. And it is funny to see everyone try to rush and kind of carry, cover their backs, which I always think is funny because, like, I'm a firm believer that you're allowed to be wrong in your takes. Like, no one can predict anything. It's impossible. If you could consistently, you'd be a billionaire sports bettor, or you'd be a billionaire scout or a billionaire GM. Like, you would just be unstoppable. It's just very, very difficult. So it is always funny because nobody wants to admit they're wrong. And I get it. I make these videos now. And, if I'm wrong about something, it's not a good feeling, especially because then everyone jumps on you. But it just seems like that's what everyone's doing right now, is just trying to jump on the Jordan Love train so they can say, like, see, like, I've been telling you guys this for years, that Jordan Love is the best, and this, that, and the third. But to answer the question more directly, I think what sets Jordan Love up to be able to be potentially the best quarterback, and I'm not making any predictions either way because I don't believe in those types of predictions, as I kind of just ranted. And like I always say, anytime I'm talking about evaluating quarterbacks, I put them in groups. I say these quarterbacks are within the same group of each other. These quarterbacks are within the same group of each other. And that I always emphasize that coaching and players, like all of that stuff, matters so significantly. It just matters tremendously. And so to compare those quarterbacks is just not always the easiest thing. It's not apples to apples or even apples to oranges. It's not, because at least apples to oranges is fruit. Like, a lot of times you're comparing apples to carrots, it's just different, more different than I think people really want to accept. But with all of that said, I think ultimately what sets Jordan Love up to be in a position where people could say, is he the best, is the fact that, one, he's in a brutal division, or what will most likely become a brutal gauntlet of a division. And if he now wins that division 2-3 times, in a row or whatever, that's going to elevate his stock tremendously. I'm sorry, it's not impressive what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing, considering they're just beating up on terrible teams. Same thing with Tom Brady and with the Patriots, like beating up on just teams that were doing nothing for literal decades. That's not impressive to me. It's not to say that those players aren't amazing. It's not to say that those teams aren't amazing. But if you can consistently win a brutal division going up, I mean, I'm sorry, again, if you're a Packers fan, you might not want to hear this, but the Minnesota Vikings are going to be good. The Bears are going to be good. The Lions, you already know, are good. So if the Packers come out and win that division over multiple years, and Jordan Love is balling out, then yeah, that's going to elevate him tremendously. And I think what also goes that is under talked about is the fact that the Packers are a highly functioning organization. You often see a lot of great quarterbacks go to teams that historically are not run very well, whether it's because of ownership, whether it's because of the GM, whether because it's a carousel of head coaches, whatever it may be. And that's not what Jordan Love has. He has tremendous stability from a franchise standpoint of who the Packers are as a franchise as a whole. I think Matt LaFleur is a top coach in the NFL, and I don't even think that could be remotely disputed, right? Like, people want to say that he like choked or made mistake, or this or that in the beginning of his career, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Listen, I get how you can make that argument. I reject it because he was also a young coach and also learning. I take such issue when people say so-and-so choked just because he didn't win. Again, that means that Tom Brady choked in a lot of games. And I don't think Tom Brady has choked once in his entire NFL career. Just because you play poorly or lose a game doesn't mean you choked. And I think the perfect thing about Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love is that they're getting together at the perfect time. That Matt LaFleur has grown significantly as a coach, that he has learned a tremendous amount, and he has made his mistakes like any other coach. And now he's with Jordan Love in a position to really ball out. And he's learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers. Say what you will about Aaron, like, you're still going to learn a tremendous amount, either just coaching him, either from his own football IQ, coaching him from a difficult personality. Like, you're just going to learn. It's all experience, and it all matters. And so I think that now also sets Jordan Love up more so than, say, a Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has the health issues, right? Which we know that's just an unfortunate reality. We know Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills are a terribly run organization. They just are. They have not done enough to truly support Josh Allen. So it'll be harder for Josh Allen to become the best quarterback in the NFL, even though I think he is an absolute top and an elite monster. But again, I blame the organization. And then even someone like another up-and-coming quarterback, whether it be the Chicago Bears, it's like, who the heck knows what the Chicago Bears are going to be able to do? Are they actually truly supporting Caleb Williams? And then you look at C.J. Stroud, another up-and-coming quarterback who's actually played in the NFL, unlike Caleb. And it's just like, okay, he had one great year. And you can say, well, hey, only Jordan Love had one great year. True. But Jordan Love has the massive advantage where his offensive-minded coach is the head coach. So he's not going anywhere. You're going to have that consistency. C.J. Stroud does not have that. All of the offensive brains, the moment they continue to keep winning, go out the door. I love the Texans OC, and he will be out the door within a couple years. No question. He's going to get a head coaching job, especially if the Texans and C.J. Stroud continue to ball out. He's out the door. And then you got to do this whole, song and dance again. So if you have a great offensive head coach and you have a great quarterback, that's going to give you a leg up versus a defensive head coach. And especially if you're talking about young and up-and-coming quarterbacks who need to be developed. The OCs, the quarterback coach, all of these things really, really, really matter. They just do. And so I think that is what also gives Jordan Love a tremendous leg up against some of these other quarterbacks. I think he's at the perfect balance between youth, between humility, between maturity, between him making his own mistakes, being with a coach who's already made mistakes. So I just think that all of them are maturing and will peak at the same time. Now, whether or not that's all going to lead to them being the number one seed, winning Super Bowls, because it seems like, especially in 2024, like, you have to win Super Bowls to be considered to be the best in the NFL. If Patrick Mahomes just so happened that he lost those Super Bowls, I don't know if people would say he's the best quarterback, honestly. I think we are such a team, and I believe that you could not win a single Super Bowl and be considered to be the best quarterback in the history of the NFL. Like, I don't think the ring means that you are the best or not. I think they're different things. So, but I think for the general consensus, in the modern era, no one's going to consider Jordan Love as the best quarterback if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, right? He could win 4 MVPs in a row. Unless he wins a Super Bowl, no one's going to consider him the best. And so the real question then is, can the Green Bay Packers win a Super Bowl? And I think the answer is an emphatic yes. I think they're also poised to continue to grow and peak, kind of reach their potential or be in their prime at potentially the perfect time when a lot of these other NFC teams, at the very least, are going to be falling apart, will be kind of more on their downward trajectory. Whether it's the 49ers, the Eagles, The Rams. It's hard because you're always kind of like, it's one of those things where like you're building a bridge by like walking a few steps, taking the wood behind you, and then putting it in front of you, walking a few steps, taking it behind you, and putting it in front of you. So no team like completely goes under, although sometimes that does happen, right? It's like, what is the exit strategy for the Rams and Stafford? You know, who's their next quarterback who's going to really be able to take over the reins? With the Eagles, is Jalen Hurts actually good? Are they going to have to fire Sirianni? Like, what's the story there, right? Like, you have all these question marks. What happens when the Lions lose Ben Johnson and he becomes the head coach? Does their offense take a step back? So I just think that the Packers are in a very great position to really kind of continue their upward trajectory, because their downward trajectory, or at least like trying to like try their best to hold on to their prime, is not anywhere soon right now, right? As long as they're all continuing to develop and be who they're supposed to be, and of course, you know, injuries aside, they're not in the position where the 49ers are, and where they're like, oh my God, what do we do? How do we keep this together? They're not in the position of the Eagles where they're like, oh my God, you know, what are we going to do? Do we need to fire our head coach? Like, what, you know, is like, are we spending too much on an old running back? Was Jalen Hurts a bad move? Or do we have to move on from Jalen Hurts? Like, they don't have those issues. So that's why I think the sky is the limit for them, and their window right now at a minimum is like the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Then of course things start to get tricky. Then money becomes a bigger issue, and all of that. And then of course if they're not winning, then you start to ask those difficult questions of like, well, is LaFleur a good enough head coach? Is Jordan Love good enough? This, that, and the third. But I think it'll all come together, and I think under those circumstances, if they do win a Super Bowl, then yes, I think people will absolutely start to really genuinely consider Jordan Love as potentially the best quarterback in the NFL. But it's definitely way too early to speculate too far about that. But hey, it's July and it's fun to just talk. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Jordan Love could legitimately become the best quarterback in the NFL? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.